Listen carefully. Do not rush past these words. Do not tell yourself you will come back later, when life is quieter, when your schedule is lighter, when your mind is clearer, or when your heart feels stronger. I am speaking to you now, and there is a reason for that. There are moments that pass through your life like ordinary moments. And then there are moments that carry the power to change the direction of your future. This is one of those moments. Before you continue listening, I want you to understand something. I know where you are. I know what has been weighing on your heart. I know the questions you have been carrying that nobody else sees. I know the disappointments you rarely talk about. I know the battles you fight behind closed doors. I know the fears that wake you up in the middle of the night. I know the burdens you pretend do not affect you. Nothing about your situation is hidden from me. Nothing has escaped my attention. Even when you felt forgotten, I saw you. Even when you felt invisible, I noticed every tear. Even when you believed nobody understood your struggle, I understood every detail. That is why I have brought you here today. Not by accident, not by coincidence, not because you randomly found this message. You are here because I wanted your attention. You are here because there are things I need you to remember before you take another step forward. For too long, you have been carrying responsibilities that were never meant to rest entirely on your shoulders. For too long, you have convinced yourself that if you work harder, push harder, worry harder, somehow everything will finally become easier. Yet the harder you try to control everything, the heavier your heart becomes. That is because you were never created to carry the weight of your future alone. You were never designed to live in constant anxiety. You were never meant to survive on fear. You were created to walk with me. You were created to trust me. You were created to experience my peace even when circumstances around you remain uncertain. But somewhere along the way, worry became normal, stress became familiar, exhaustion became routine. You learned how to function while carrying burdens that were slowly draining your spirit. You smiled while hurting. You kept moving while feeling empty. You stayed busy because slowing down would force you to face what was really happening inside. Yet, I see it all. And today, I'm asking you to be honest. Not with the people around you, not with the world, with yourself. Are you truly at peace? Are you truly living with purpose? Are you truly becoming the person you were created to be? Or have you simply become comfortable surviving? There is a difference. Many people survive, few truly live. Many people wake up every morning and repeat the same cycle without ever asking whether they are moving toward the life they were created for. They become trapped by routine. They become trapped by fear. They become trapped by comfort. And slowly they forget that I created them for more. You were not created merely to exist. You were not created merely to pay bills, manage responsibilities, and endure difficult seasons. You were created to carry hope. You were created to shine light. You were created to walk in purpose. You were created to know me deeply. And the emptiness you have been feeling is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It is evidence that your soul is searching for something deeper. Many people try to fill that emptiness with distractions. They fill every moment with noise. They chase temporary pleasures. They chase approval. They chase success. They chase recognition. Yet after they obtain those things, they still feel empty. Because the deepest hunger of the soul cannot be satisfied by temporary things. Only truth satisfies it. Only purpose satisfies it. Only my presence satisfies it. That is why I am speaking to you now. because I refuse to let you continue settling for less than what I created you for. You may feel tired. You may feel discouraged. You may feel uncertain about the future. But hear me clearly. Your story is not over. Your best days are not behind you. Your purpose has not disappeared. Your calling has not expired. The mistakes you made did not cancel my plans. The failures you experienced did not erase your value. The delays you encountered did not destroy your destiny. I am still working, even in places where you cannot see it. Even during seasons when nothing seems to be changing. Even when silence makes you wonder if I am listening. I am working. I am arranging things you cannot yet understand. I am opening doors you cannot yet see. I am preparing answers before you even know what questions to ask. That is why fear cannot be your guide. Fear has lied to you too many times. Fear tells you the worst outcome is certain. Fear tells you nothing will improve. Fear tells you to give up. Fear tells you you are alone. But fear is not speaking for me. I speak hope. I speak life. I speak purpose. I speak truth. And today I want you to make a decision. Stop measuring your future by your current circumstances. Stop measuring your potential by your past failures. Stop measuring your worth by other people's opinions. Measure your life by what I say about you. And what I say is this: you are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not disqualified. You are not beyond restoration. You are not beyond healing. You are not beyond renewal. You are not beyond my reach. My child, if these words are speaking directly to your heart today, take a moment and write in the comments, I choose faith over fear. Make that declaration not for me, but for yourself. Let it become a reminder of the decision you are making today. And before you leave, if these words encouraged your heart and strengthened your spirit, remember to like this message, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who needs hope right now. Listen to me carefully. There is something I need you to understand about the season you have been walking through. The exhaustion you have been feeling is not only physical. The weariness you carry goes deeper than sleep can fix. You have rested your body, yet your mind continues racing. You have tried to relax, yet your heart still feels heavy. You have searched for relief, yet something inside you remains unsettled. And because you cannot always explain it, you have learned to live with it. You tell yourself it is normal. You tell yourself everyone feels this way. You tell yourself that eventually things will improve on their own. But today, I want you to stop for a moment and be honest. You were not created to live constantly drained. You were not created to spend your days carrying invisible burdens that steal your joy. You were not created to wake up each morning already feeling defeated. There is a reason your soul feels tired. There is a reason your heart feels stretched. There is a reason the joy you once carried feels harder to access. For too long, you have been carrying things that belong in my hands. You have been carrying tomorrow. You have been carrying outcomes. You have been carrying fears about situations that have not even happened yet. You have been carrying the opinions of people who do not determine your future. You have been carrying disappointments that I never intended you to carry forever. And little by little, those weights have accumulated. Not all at once, not dramatically, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. The way exhaustion usually arrives. Most people think they become overwhelmed because of one major event. But often the deeper exhaustion comes from carrying small burdens every day without releasing them. A little worry here, a little fear there, a little disappointment, a little resentment, a little regret, a little anxiety, a little doubt. Day after day, week after week, month after month, until eventually the soul becomes tired. You may have wondered why things that once felt simple now feel difficult, why decisions feel heavier, why motivation feels weaker, why peace feels harder to find. It is because your heart was never designed to become a storage place for unresolved burdens. Your heart was designed to trust. Your spirit was designed to receive strength from me. Your life was designed to flow from relationship, not constant pressure. But somewhere along the journey, you began believing that everything depended on you. You began believing that if you worried enough, you could prevent pain. If you planned enough, you could eliminate uncertainty. If you controlled enough, you could guarantee success. Yet control has never created peace. Trust creates peace. Control creates tension. Trust creates rest. Control creates fear. Trust creates clarity. Control creates exhaustion. And that is why I am calling you back to trust. Not because your problems are imaginary. Not because your challenges are small. But because I am greater than all of them. I know the situation that concerns you most. I know the prayer you keep repeating. I know the answer you are waiting for. I know the door you hope will open. I know the burden you rarely discuss. Nothing about your situation surprises me. Nothing about your future worries me. Nothing about your circumstances has placed me at a loss for solutions. While you are worrying about tomorrow, I am already there. While you are questioning what will happen next, I already see the outcome. While you are struggling to understand the path ahead, I already know every step. This is why I tell you not to surrender to fear. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Faith focuses on who is walking beside you. Fear magnifies problems. Faith magnifies my presence. Fear keeps you trapped in imaginary futures. Faith allows you to live fully in the moment I have given you. You do not need to know everything that is ahead. You only need enough light for the next step. That is how trust grows. Not by seeing the entire road, but by taking one faithful step at a time. I know some of you listening have become discouraged because the answers have not arrived as quickly as you hoped. You prayed, you waited, you believed, and yet the situation remained unchanged, at least from your perspective. But what if more has been happening than you realize? What if delays have been protection? What if closed doors have been mercy? What if unanswered prayers have been preparing you for something greater than what you originally requested? You see a single chapter. I see the entire story. You see today's obstacle. I see tomorrow's victory. You see temporary disappointment. I see eternal purpose. That is why you must not judge your future by your current circumstances. Some of the greatest blessings begin in seasons that look confusing. Some of the greatest transformations begin in moments of uncertainty. Some of the greatest breakthroughs begin when everything appears silent. Silence does not mean absence. Waiting does not mean abandonment. Delay does not mean denial. I am still working even now, especially now. The enemy wants you to believe that nothing is changing. But I want you to know that change is already happening beneath the surface. Seeds grow underground long before anyone sees evidence of life. Preparation happens before promotion. Growth happens before harvest. Strength develops before victory. Trust develops before breakthrough. Do not despise this season. Do not waste this season. Allow it to teach you. Allow it to strengthen you. Allow it to deepen your dependence on me. Because the person you are becoming is just as important as the blessing you are praying for. Many people ask me to change their circumstances. Few ask me to transform their hearts. Yet true peace begins inside. True confidence begins inside. True strength begins inside. And that is where I am working right now. Not merely around you, within you. The world focuses on appearances. I focus on foundations. The world celebrates instant success. I build lasting character. The world rewards performance. I develop purpose. And when my work is complete, you will look back and understand why this season was necessary. You will understand why you had to grow. You will understand why you had to trust. You will understand why you had to wait. And you will discover that what felt like delay was actually preparation. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. My child, if you are ready to stop carrying burdens that belong in my hands, write these words in the comments. I release my worries and choose trust. Let that declaration become the beginning of a new mindset. And stay with me through every word of this journey, because what you learn in these moments can help transform the way you approach your future, your relationships, your decisions, and your faith. There is much more I need to show you. Listen closely. There is something many people misunderstand about my work and their lives. They celebrate every open door. They rejoice when opportunities appear. They thank me when everything moves according to their plans. But when a door closes, they immediately assume something has gone wrong. They assume they have failed. They assume they have been forgotten. They assume they have lost something important. Yet what if the closed door was not punishment? What if it was protection? What if the thing you cried over was actually the thing that would have harmed you? What if the opportunity you lost was leading you away from your purpose instead of toward it? I need you to understand something today. Not every closed door is an attack. Not every delay is a setback. Not every disappointment is a loss. Some things had to leave your life because they could not go where I am taking you. Some relationships had to change. Some plans had to fail. Some expectations had to collapse. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I love you too much to allow temporary desires to destroy your future. I know there are moments you still think about. Moments you wish had turned out differently. Conversations you wish had ended another way. Opportunities you wish had remained available. People you hoped would stay forever. Dreams you believed would unfold exactly as you imagined. And when those things changed, part of your heart broke. You questioned yourself. You questioned your decisions. You questioned whether you had somehow missed my guidance. But today, I want you to consider another possibility. What if I was guiding you even through the closed doors? What if my protection was working when you could not recognize it? What if my wisdom was preventing something your emotions desperately wanted? The truth is that you can only see the surface. I see what lies beneath. You see what appears attractive. I see what is sustainable. You see the immediate outcome. I see the long-term consequence. You see the promise. I see the reality. And because I see more than you do, there are times when I must say no to things you desperately want. Not because I enjoy disappointing you. Not because I enjoy watching you wait, but because my purpose for your life is greater than your temporary desires. Think about the times you wanted something so badly. You prayed for it. You pursued it. You invested your energy into it. And when it did not happen, you felt devastated. Yet years later, you looked back and realized how grateful you were that it never worked out. You finally saw what I saw. You finally understood why that door remained closed. You finally recognized that what felt like rejection was actually redirection. That is often how my wisdom works. Not always through immediate understanding, but through future clarity. There are things you cannot understand while standing in the middle of them. Some lessons only become visible after you have walked beyond them. That is why trust is so important, because understanding does not always arrive first. Trust must come first. Many people refuse to trust until everything makes sense. But if everything made sense, trust would not be necessary. Faith grows when you continue walking, even when answers are incomplete. Faith grows when you continue believing, even when circumstances seem confusing. Faith grows when you continue trusting my character, despite not understanding my timing. I know some of you are listening while carrying disappointment from a closed door. You still wonder why it happened. You still replay the situation in your mind. You still imagine what life would look like if things had turned out differently. And every time you do, your heart becomes trapped between the past and the future. But I want to free you from that today. Stop worshiping what was lost. Stop idealizing what might have been. Stop assuming that your greatest blessing existed behind the door that closed. If I allowed that door to close, it was because I saw something you could not see. And if I closed it, I am capable of opening something better. The enemy wants you to believe that your opportunity has already passed. The enemy wants you to believe that your best days are behind you. The enemy wants you to believe that one disappointment has permanently damaged your future. But those are lies. One closed door does not determine your destiny. One failure does not define your identity. One loss does not cancel your purpose. Your future remains in my hands, and my plans are not fragile. They are not dependent upon perfect circumstances. They are not dependent upon perfect decisions. They are not dependent upon your flawless performance. If I can guide rivers through mountains, I can guide your life through obstacles. If I can place stars in the heavens, I can arrange circumstances for your good. If I can create life from dust, I can create opportunities where none seem to exist. Do not underestimate my ability to restore. Do not underestimate my ability to redirect. Do not underestimate my ability to redeem what appears lost. Sometimes a door closes because a better one is being prepared. Sometimes a relationship ends because a healthier one is ahead. Sometimes a season finishes because growth requires change. Sometimes the ending you fear is actually the beginning you need. This is why bitterness is so dangerous. Bitterness keeps people staring at closed doors. Faith helps people look toward open ones. Bitterness focuses on what was lost. Faith focuses on what remains possible. Bitterness keeps the heart trapped in yesterday. Faith prepares the heart for tomorrow. And I do not want you trapped by yesterday anymore. You have spent enough time replaying what cannot be changed. You have spent enough time mourning possibilities that no longer exist. You have spent enough time questioning whether life could have been different. Now it is time to move forward. Not because your pain was insignificant, not because your loss was imaginary, but because your future still matters, your purpose still matters, your calling still matters. And there are blessings ahead that require your attention. Do not miss what is coming because you remain focused on what is gone. There are new opportunities ahead, new lessons ahead, new relationships ahead, new growth ahead, new victories ahead. And they cannot be fully embraced while your heart remains attached to doors I have already closed. Release what is behind you. Trust what is ahead. Believe that my plans are still working. Believe that my wisdom is still guiding you. Believe that my love is still protecting you. Even when the path feels unfamiliar, even when the future feels uncertain, even when answers have not yet arrived. My child, if you are choosing to trust my direction instead of clinging to the past, write this declaration in the comments. I trust God's plan more than my disappointment. Let those words become a step toward healing. Listen to me carefully. There is a battle happening around you that many people never recognize. They see the symptoms, but they do not see the source. They feel the pressure, but they do not understand where it is coming from. They experience confusion, discouragement, and fear. Yet, they believe these things appeared without reason. But nothing influences your life without first attempting to influence your mind. That is why the greatest battles are often invisible. Long before a person gives up, they begin entertaining hopeless thoughts. Long before a dream dies, doubt begins speaking. Long before a relationship falls apart, discouragement starts growing quietly. Long before purpose is abandoned, distraction slowly steals attention. The battle often begins where nobody else can see it. Inside your thoughts, inside your beliefs, inside the conversations you have with yourself. And this is why I am speaking to you today, because many of you have been fighting battles without realizing where the battlefield truly exists. You keep focusing only on external circumstances. You keep focusing only on what is happening around you. But the enemy knows something. Many people forget. If he can influence your thinking, he can influence your decisions. If he can influence your decisions, he can influence your direction. And if he can influence your direction, he can slowly pull you away from the life I prepared for you. That is why you must become aware, not fearful. Aware, there is a difference. Fear gives darkness power. Awareness helps you walk in wisdom. You do not need to fear the battle. You simply need to recognize it. Think about the thoughts that have repeatedly visited your mind. The thoughts telling you nothing will change. The thoughts telling you that you are too late. The thoughts telling you that your mistakes are too great. The thoughts telling you that you will never recover. The thoughts telling you that your future is limited by your past. Do those thoughts sound like my voice? No, because I do not speak hopelessness. I do not speak condemnation. I do not speak defeat. I speak truth. I speak restoration. I speak possibility. I speak purpose. Yet many people spend years listening to voices that never came from me. They build entire beliefs around fear. They make life decisions based on insecurity. They limit themselves because of lies they accepted as truth. And slowly those lies become strongholds. Not because the lies are powerful, but because they are repeated. A repeated lie eventually sounds familiar, and familiarity can become dangerous when it replaces truth. That is why you must guard your mind, not occasionally, daily. Because what you repeatedly think eventually influences how you live. If you constantly focus on fear, fear becomes stronger. If you constantly focus on failure, confidence becomes weaker. If you constantly focus on what is wrong, gratitude becomes difficult. But when you focus on truth, everything begins to change. Truth brings clarity. Truth brings strength. Truth brings freedom. And truth always exposes deception. Some of you have been carrying beliefs about yourselves that were never spoken by me. You believe you are unworthy. You believe you are inadequate. You believe you are too damaged. You believe you have fallen too far. You believe your best opportunities have already passed. But who told you that? Certainly not me. Because I still see purpose where you see weakness. I still see potential where you see limitations. I still see growth where you see failure. I still see possibility where you see obstacles. I see the person you are becoming, not merely the person you have been. And there is a reason for that. I do not define you by your worst day. I do not define you by your greatest mistake. I do not define you by the opinions of people around you. I define you according to the purpose for which I created you. And my plans for your life have not been cancelled. The enemy wants you focused on your failures. I want you focused on your future. The enemy wants you trapped in shame. I want you walking in freedom. The enemy wants you looking backward. I want you moving forward. The enemy wants you exhausted. I want you strengthened. The enemy wants you isolated. I want you connected to me. This is why your thoughts matter so much. Every day you are choosing which voice receives your attention. Every day you are deciding what influences your heart. Every day you are determining what shapes your perspective. And over time those choices create direction. Direction creates habits. Habits create outcomes. Outcomes create the life you experience. That is why I need you to stop feeding fear. Stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Stop imagining failure before it happens. Stop speaking defeat over situations I am still working on. You do not know everything I am doing behind the scenes. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. You do not see every door I am preparing. You do not see every connection I am arranging. You do not see every obstacle I am removing. You do not see every answer that is already moving toward you. Just because something is invisible does not mean it is inactive. Remember that seeds grow underground before they break through the surface. Foundations are built beneath structures before anyone admires the building. Preparation often happens where nobody notices. And that is exactly how many of my greatest works begin quietly, faithfully, powerfully. You may not see immediate evidence. You may not understand every step, but I am still working. Even now, especially now, the pressure you have been feeling is not proof that I abandoned you. The resistance you have been facing is not proof that your future is hopeless. Sometimes resistance appears because you are moving towards something valuable. Sometimes opposition increases because breakthrough is closer than you realize. Sometimes the battle becomes intense because your purpose carries significance. Do not let difficulty convince you to quit. Do not let discouragement convince you to stop. Do not let temporary struggles convince you that permanent defeat is your future. You are stronger than you think because I am with you. You are capable of more than you realize because my strength can work through your weakness. You can move forward even when you feel uncertain. You can continue trusting even when answers are delayed. You can keep believing even when circumstances appear unchanged, because your confidence is not supposed to come from circumstances. It is supposed to come from me. And when your confidence is rooted in me, storms may shake your surroundings, but they cannot destroy your foundation. My child, if you are ready to reject fear and embrace truth, write this declaration in the comments. I choose God's truth over every lie. Make that your decision today. Let it become a new habit. Let it become a new way of thinking. Listen to me carefully. There is something you have asked many times. Even if you never spoke the words aloud, you wondered why certain things happened. You wondered why some seasons became so difficult. You wondered why the road seemed harder than you expected. You wondered why some prayers appeared unanswered. You wondered why some wounds took so long to heal. And perhaps the question beneath all those questions was this: why did I have to go through that? I understand why you ask. Pain has a way of demanding explanations. Suffering has a way of making people search for meaning. When life becomes difficult, the heart naturally wants answers. But today, I want you to see your story from a different perspective. What if the greatest evidence of my presence is not that you avoided every storm? What if the greatest evidence of my presence is that you survived them? Think about everything you have already overcome. Think about the battles that once seemed impossible. Think about the nights when you cried yourself to sleep. Think about the disappointments that broke your heart. Think about the moments when you felt abandoned. Think about the times when you believed you would never recover. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward, still searching for truth, still listening. That did not happen by accident. There were moments when you were stronger than you realized. There were moments when my hand carried you, even when you did not recognize it. There were moments when my protection surrounded you in ways you never saw. Many people assume that strength means never struggling, but true strength is often revealed through perseverance. Strength is continuing when quitting feels easier. Strength is believing when doubt feels louder. Strength is trusting when understanding feels impossible. Strength is moving forward even when the road is uncertain. And that strength has been developing within you. Not because life has been easy, but because life has challenged you. Gold is refined by fire. Character is refined through difficulty. Wisdom is often born through experience. And faith becomes deeper when it is tested. I know some of the experiences you endured left scars. I know there are memories that still hurt. I know there are chapters of your life you rarely discuss. The betrayal, the rejection, the disappointment, the heartbreak, the loss, the loneliness, the uncertainty. The moments when nobody seemed to understand what you were carrying. I saw all of it. Every tear, every prayer, every disappointment, every silent struggle, nothing escaped my attention. And although I did not always remove the pain immediately, I never abandoned you within it. That is what you must remember. You were never alone. Not for a single moment. Even during the seasons when my presence felt distant. Even during the seasons when heaven seemed silent. Even during the seasons when answers appeared delayed, I remained with you. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not abandonment. Delay is not rejection. Many of the things you survived were teaching you lessons that comfort never could. Patience, compassion, wisdom, humility, dependence, resilience. These qualities rarely develop during easy seasons. They develop during challenging ones. And while you are focused on escaping the struggle, I was building strength within you. Not to punish you, not to discourage you, but to prepare you. Because the life ahead of you requires a stronger version of you. The blessings ahead require maturity. The opportunities ahead require wisdom. The assignments ahead require faith. The influence ahead requires character. And character is not developed overnight. It is developed one decision at a time, one challenge at a time, one lesson at a time. This is why you must stop viewing every hardship as evidence that something is wrong. Some hardships are classrooms. Some hardships are preparation. Some hardships are opportunities to grow beyond limitations you did not know existed. The enemy wanted your pain to make you bitter. I wanted your pain to make you wiser. The enemy wanted your struggle to make you quit. I wanted your struggle to make you stronger. The enemy wanted your disappointment to destroy your hope. I wanted your disappointment to deepen your trust. That is the difference. The same experience can produce completely different outcomes depending on how you respond. And today I am asking you to choose growth. Choose faith. Choose hope. Choose trust. Refuse to allow your past pain to define your future identity. You are not merely the person who was hurt. You are not merely the person who was rejected. You are not merely the person who experienced loss. You are not merely the person who struggled. You are also the person who survived, the person who endured, the person who learned, the person who grew, the person who continued moving forward. Never forget that there is power in your testimony. There is wisdom in your journey. There is value in the lessons you learned. One day you will help someone else because of what you survived. One day your story will encourage another person who feels hopeless. One day your experience will become a source of strength for someone who believes they cannot continue. Nothing is wasted when it is placed in my hands. Not your tears, not your struggles, not your disappointments, not your waiting seasons, not your questions, not even your mistakes. I can redeem what seems broken. I can restore what seems lost. I can bring purpose from pain. I can create beauty from ashes. That is what I do. That is who I am. And that is why you must not lose heart. The chapter you are currently living is not the final chapter. There is more ahead, more growth, more healing, more wisdom, more peace, more purpose, more joy, more fulfillment. Do not judge the entire story by one difficult season. The story is still being written, and I am not finished yet. My child, if you believe that your struggles did not defeat you, and that God is still working through your story, write these words in the comments. My pain will become purpose. Declare it with faith. Declare it with confidence. And if these messages are helping you grow spiritually and bringing encouragement into your daily life, consider sharing them with someone who may need hope today. Listen to me carefully. There is something I need you to understand about waiting. Many people see waiting as punishment. They see it as delay. They see it as evidence that nothing is happening. They see it as a sign that their prayers have been ignored. But that is not how I see it. What you call waiting, I often call preparation. What you call delay, I often call development. What you call silence, I often call construction. Because some of the most important things I do in your life happen when it appears that nothing is changing. I know waiting is difficult. I know it stretches your patience. I know it tests your faith. I know there are days when you wonder whether anything will ever change. You look at your circumstances. You look at your unanswered prayers. You look at your current situation. and you wonder how much longer you must continue walking through uncertainty. But hear me clearly. A seed does not break through the ground the moment it is planted. Roots develop first. Foundations develop first. Strength develops first. And only then does visible growth begin. Many people want visible blessings without invisible preparation. They want promotion without development. They want success without maturity. They want influence without wisdom. They want answers without growth. But I care about more than what you receive. I care about who you become. Because blessings without character can become burdens. Opportunities without wisdom can become dangers. Success without maturity can become destruction. That is why I often prepare the person before I release the blessing. I prepare the heart before I open the door. I prepare the character before I increase the responsibility. I prepare the faith before I expand the vision. And sometimes that preparation requires waiting. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and realize that what felt like delay was actually protection. What felt like silence was actually preparation. What felt like inactivity was actually progress. There are things I am doing in your life that cannot be rushed. There are lessons that require time. There are wounds that require healing. There are habits that require transformation. There are perspectives that require adjustment, and there are areas of your life where deeper growth must occur before the next season begins. That is why impatience can become dangerous. Impatience makes people leave too soon. Impatience makes people quit too early. Impatience makes people abandon opportunities that are closer than they realize. Many people walk away just before breakthrough arrives. Many people surrender just before the answer appears. Many people stop believing just before the harvest begins. Do not make that mistake. Do not allow temporary frustration to destroy permanent possibilities. The enemy wants you to become discouraged. The enemy wants you to believe that waiting means failure. The enemy wants you to interpret delay as rejection. But I want you to see waiting differently. Waiting is often evidence that something valuable is being prepared. The longer a foundation must support weight, the deeper it must be built. The greater the assignment, the greater the preparation. The greater the responsibility, the greater the development. And what I am preparing for you is worth preparing properly. Do not compare your timeline to someone else's. Do not compare your journey to another person's story. You only see a small part of their path. You do not see their battles. You do not see their lessons. You do not see their sacrifices. Comparison creates unnecessary discouragement. Comparison steals gratitude. Comparison distracts you from your own assignment. Focus on the path I have given you. Focus on today's obedience. Focus on today's growth. Focus on today's opportunities. Because your future is built through the choices you make today. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. Not through worry, not through comparison, not through frustration, through faithful daily steps. Some of you listening have become exhausted because you keep measuring progress only by visible results. You look for evidence. You look for immediate change. You look for instant answers. And when you do not see them, discouragement begins to grow. But growth is not always visible. Healing is not always visible. Preparation is not always visible. Transformation is not always visible. Yet that does not mean these things are not happening. Remember this. The roots grow before the fruit appears. The foundation is built before the structure rises. Preparation comes before manifestation. That is how many of my greatest works operate. Quietly, faithfully, steadily. Do not despise small progress. Do not overlook small victories. Do not underestimate consistent faithfulness. Little decisions create large outcomes over time. Little acts of obedience create major transformation over time. Little moments of trust create powerful faith over time. Everything matters. Everything contributes. Everything is building towards something. That is why I need you to remain faithful in this season. Remain faithful when you cannot see the whole picture. Remain faithful when answers seem delayed. Remain faithful when progress feels slow. Remain faithful when emotions fluctuate. Because faithfulness during waiting develops strength that success alone cannot produce. And one day you will realize that the season you wanted to escape was the season that prepared you for everything that followed. My child, you are closer than you think. Closer to healing, closer to clarity, closer to growth, closer to breakthrough, closer to understanding, closer to the answers you have been seeking. Do not give up now. Do not stop believing now. Do not walk away now. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting. Keep growing. Keep listening. And above all, keep your eyes on me rather than on circumstances. Because circumstances change, opinions change, feelings change, but my promises remain steady. My faithfulness remains constant. My love remains unshaken, and my plans for your life remain intact. My child, if you are choosing to trust God's timing instead of rushing ahead, write these words in the comments. I will trust the process God is leading. Let that declaration strengthen your faith today. Listen to me carefully. There is something that has been stealing more from you than you realize. It has delayed opportunities. It has weakened confidence. It has silenced gifts. It has caused hesitation where there should have been courage. It has caused fear where there should have been faith. It has caused you to question things I have already settled. That thing is doubt. Not the kind of doubt that asks honest questions. Not the kind of doubt that seeks understanding. I am speaking about the kind of doubt that convinces you that you are incapable of becoming who I created you to be. The kind of doubt that whispers that others can succeed, but you cannot. The kind of doubt that reminds you of every mistake while ignoring every victory. The kind of doubt that keeps you staring at your weaknesses instead of recognizing the strength I have been developing within you. For too long, you have underestimated yourself. For too long, you have focused on what you lack. For too long, you have measured your potential according to your current circumstances. And because of that, you have failed to see what I see. You see limitations. I see possibilities. You see weakness. I see growth. You see uncertainty. I see preparation. You see obstacles. I see opportunities. You see your present condition. I see your future potential. This is why I need you to stop viewing yourself through the lens of fear. Fear always shrinks vision. Fear always magnifies problems. Fear always minimizes potential. Fear always focuses on what could go wrong. But faith sees differently. Faith recognizes that your future is not determined by your current limitations. Faith recognizes that growth is possible. Faith recognizes that change can happen. Faith recognizes that I am capable of doing more than you currently imagine. I know there are moments when you compare yourself to others. You see their achievements, you see their confidence, you see their progress, and you begin wondering why your journey looks different. You wonder whether you are behind. You wonder whether you missed an opportunity. You wonder whether you are falling short. But comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose sight of your own purpose. Because comparison shifts your focus away from what I am doing in your life. It causes you to measure your progress against someone else's assignment. It causes you to overlook the growth that is already taking place. And it blinds you to the unique path I have prepared specifically for you. You were never called to become someone else. You were called to become the person I designed you to be. There is a difference. A flower does not compete with a tree. A river does not compete with a mountain. Each fulfills its purpose according to its design, and you must learn to do the same. Stop measuring your value according to someone else's success. Stop measuring your purpose according to someone else's calling. Stop measuring your growth according to someone else's timeline. Focus on the path I have placed before you. Because your assignment is valuable. Your purpose matters. Your life carries meaning even if others do not fully understand it. Even if you do not fully understand it yet, there are gifts inside you that have not been fully developed. There are goities inside you that have not been fully expressed. There are strengths inside you that have not been fully revealed. And the reason they remain hidden is not because they do not exist. It is because growth takes time. Many people become discouraged because they expect immediate mastery. They expect immediate confidence. They expect immediate success. But that is not how growth works. Growth happens gradually. Strength develops gradually. Wisdom develops gradually. Confidence develops gradually. Faith develops gradually. Every step matters. Every lesson matters. Every challenge matters. Every season matters. Nothing is wasted, not even the struggles. In fact, some of the qualities you value most in yourself today were developed through difficulties you once wanted to avoid. The patience you carry, the wisdom you gained, the resilience you developed, the compassion you learned, the strength you discovered. Many of those qualities were born through hardship. That is why you must stop criticizing yourself for not being where you want to be yet. You are still growing. You are still learning. You are still becoming. A tree does not apologize for being smaller while it is growing. It simply continues developing. You must learn to do the same. Be patient with your progress. Be patient with your journey. Be patient with your growth. Do not allow perfectionism to rob you of gratitude. Perfectionism constantly tells you that what you have accomplished is not enough. Perfectionism constantly moves the finish line. Perfectionism constantly creates dissatisfaction, but gratitude changes perspective. Gratitude helps you recognize progress. Gratitude helps you recognize blessings. Gratitude helps you recognize growth. And gratitude strengthens faith. I want you to begin noticing how far you have already come. You are not who you used to be. You have learned lessons. You have gained wisdom. You have overcome obstacles. You have survived challenges. You have developed strength. You have grown. Perhaps not as quickly as you hoped. Perhaps not as dramatically as you expected, but growth has happened, and it continues to happen. That is why you must not quit now. Do not abandon the journey because the destination has not arrived yet. Do not stop believing because the answer has not appeared yet. Do not lose confidence because results are still developing. keep moving forward. Keep trusting, keep learning, keep growing, because I am not finished with you. The chapter you are living right now is preparation for chapters that have not yet been written. The lessons you are learning now will matter later. The strength you are developing now will matter later. The faith you are building now will matter later. And one day you will understand why this season was necessary. One day you will see why the struggle was worthwhile. One day you will recognize that I was preparing you for more than you imagined. My child, if you are ready to stop doubting yourself and start trusting the purpose God placed within you, write these words in the comments. God is still working in me. Declare it with faith. Declare it with confidence. Listen carefully. There is something I need you to understand before you take another step forward. Many people quit too soon. Many people walk away too early. Many people surrender just before the season begins to change. Not because they lack ability, not because they lack faith, not because they lack purpose, but because they become tired of waiting. They become discouraged by what they cannot see. They become convinced that nothing is happening, and they leave the field before the harvest arrives. Do not let that become your story, because what you cannot see is often more important than what you can. I know there are days when progress feels invisible, days when your prayers seem unanswered, days when the future feels uncertain, days when your heart grows weary, days when you wonder whether anything is changing at all. But I want you to remember something. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean movement is absent. Just because you cannot see results does not mean progress has stopped. Just because you cannot see the answer does not mean the answer is not coming. Many of my greatest works begin beneath the surface. Before a seed becomes a tree, something happens underground. Before dawn appears, darkness reaches its deepest point. Before breakthrough arrives, preparation often reaches its final stage. And many people misinterpret that stage. They think the silence means failure. They think the struggle means defeat. They think the delay means rejection. But often the opposite is true. Often the pressure increases because change is near. Often the resistance increases because growth is happening. Often the battle becomes stronger because the breakthrough is closer than it appears. Think about the times you almost gave up, the times you felt exhausted, the times you believed you could not continue. Yet somehow you found strength for one more day, one more step, one more prayer, one more act of faith. That strength did not come from nowhere. I was sustaining you. I was carrying you. I was strengthening you when your own strength felt insufficient, and I am still doing it now. You may not feel powerful. You may not feel confident. You may not feel prepared. But feelings are not always accurate indicators of reality. There have been many moments when you felt weak while actually becoming stronger. Many moments when you felt lost while actually being guided. Many moments when you felt delayed while actually being prepared. That is why you must learn to trust beyond your emotions. Emotions change, truth remains, circumstances change, my promises remain, opinions change, my purpose remains. The enemy wants you focused on appearances. I want you focused on truth. The enemy wants you discouraged by temporary setbacks. I want you strengthened by eternal perspective. The enemy wants you looking at what is missing. I want you appreciating what is growing, because growth is happening. Even now you are growing in patience. You are growing in wisdom. You are growing in discernment. You are growing in strength. You are growing in faith. And those qualities will serve you long after temporary circumstances have passed. Do not underestimate what is happening inside you. The world celebrates visible success. I often focus on invisible transformation. The world notices achievements. I notice character. The world admires results. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. I develop foundations, and foundations matter because what is built quickly can collapse quickly, but what is built carefully can endure. That is why I have been working deeply within you. Not merely changing your circumstances, changing your perspective. Not merely changing your environment, changing your heart. Not merely changing your opportunities, changing your capacity. Because the blessing ahead requires greater capacity. The opportunity ahead requires greater wisdom. The influence ahead requires greater maturity. And I refuse to give you something that would harm you simply because you were not prepared to carry it. Preparation is not punishment. Preparation is protection. Remember that. Many of the things you prayed for are still possible. Some are closer than you realize. But before they arrive, there are lessons that must become permanent. There are truths that must become rooted. There are habits that must become consistent. There are areas where trust must become stronger than fear, because fear cannot lead you into your future. Only faith can. And faith grows through practice. Faith grows through repetition. Faith grows every time you choose trust over worry. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint. Every time you choose hope over discouragement. Every time you choose obedience over comfort. Those choices matter more than you know. They are shaping the person you are becoming. And the person you are becoming is preparing to step into a new season. A season that may look different from anything you expected. A season that may challenge old limitations. A season that may require greater courage. A season that may require greater trust, but also a season filled with possibilities. Possibilities you cannot yet fully imagine. That is why you must not stop now. Do not let temporary frustration convince you to abandon permanent purpose. Do not let today's uncertainty rob tomorrow's opportunity. Do not let discouragement silence the faith that has carried you this far. Look how much you have already survived. Look how much you have already learned. Look how much you have already overcome. The same God who carried you through previous battles is still walking beside you now. The same God who provided before can provide again. The same God who strengthened you before can strengthen you again. The same God who opened doors before can open new doors again. Nothing has changed about my ability. Nothing has changed about my power. Nothing has changed about my love for you. And nothing has changed about my plans. You may be in the middle of the process, but the process is not the end of the story. You may be in the middle of the preparation, but preparation is not the final destination. You may be in the middle of the battle, but the battle is not your identity. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep listening, because there is more ahead than what is behind. There is more possibility ahead than you currently see. There is more purpose ahead than you currently understand. And there is more growth ahead than you currently imagine. My child, if you believe God is still working, even when you cannot see it, write these words in the comments. My breakthrough is closer than I think. Declare it with faith. Declare it with expectation. Listen carefully. There is a truth many people avoid because it feels uncomfortable. They pray for increase. They pray for blessing. They pray for new opportunities. They pray for greater peace. They pray for breakthrough. Yet, while they are asking for something new, they continue holding tightly to things that no longer belong in their lives. And because their hands are full, they cannot fully receive what is waiting for them. I need you to understand this. Not everything that enters your life is meant to remain forever. Some seasons are temporary. Some relationships are temporary. Some struggles are temporary. Some assignments are temporary. And some versions of yourself are temporary. Growth requires release. Transformation requires release. Freedom requires release. You cannot step fully into tomorrow while refusing to let go of yesterday. You cannot embrace a new season while clinging to an old one. You cannot receive greater peace while continuing to nurture old fears. This is why I am speaking to you today. Because there are things you have carried for too long. Not because you wanted to, but because you became accustomed to carrying them. Pain became familiar. Disappointment became familiar. Fear became familiar. Self-doubt became familiar. And familiarity can be dangerous when it prevents healing. There are people who continue carrying wounds long after the wound should have healed. Not because healing was unavailable, but because they built part of their identity around the pain. They became so familiar with the hurt that they no longer know who they would be without it. Do not allow that to happen to you. Your pain was part of your story. It was never meant to become your identity. Your disappointment was part of your journey. It was never meant to define your future. Your mistakes were experiences. They were never meant to become labels. I need you to hear this clearly. You are not the worst thing that happened to you. You are not the worst mistake you made. You are not the criticism someone spoke over your life. You are not the rejection you experienced. You are not the failure you remember. Those things may have affected you, but they do not define you. I define you. And I see far more than your wounds. I see your growth. I see your courage. I see your perseverance. I see your potential. I see the future I am preparing. That is why some things must be released. Not because they are unimportant, but because they are no longer helping you move forward. There are old regrets that need to be surrendered. Regrets cannot change yesterday. They can only steal today's peace. There are old fears that need to be surrendered. Fear cannot protect your future. It can only limit your present. There are old offenses that need to be surrendered. Bitterness feels powerful for a moment, but eventually it becomes a prison. Forgiveness is not saying the pain was acceptable. Forgiveness is refusing to let the pain continue controlling your future. There are old lies that need to be surrendered. The lie that you are not enough. The lie that you have missed your opportunity. The lie that your future is already decided. The lie that change is impossible. The lie that your best days are behind you. Those lies have occupied enough space in your mind. It is time to replace them with truth, because truth creates freedom. Truth creates confidence. Truth creates peace. Truth creates vision. And vision is essential for the season ahead. You cannot move confidently toward a future you refuse to believe is possible. You cannot walk boldly into purpose while remaining chained to old limitations. You cannot embrace growth while constantly rehearsing reasons why growth cannot happen. The enemy wants you focused on your past. I want you focused on your purpose. The enemy wants you trapped in regret. I want you walking in freedom. The enemy wants you looking backward. I want you looking forward. That is why release is necessary. Not because I want to take something from you, because I want to make room for something better. Think about a gardener. A gardener prunes healthy branches not because he hates the tree. He prunes because growth requires it. He removes what is limiting future fruitfulness. And there are times when I do the same. I remove distractions. I expose unhealthy patterns. I reveal limiting beliefs. I challenge comfortable habits not to harm you, to help you grow. Growth often feels uncomfortable before it becomes rewarding. That is why so many people resist it. They want change without adjustment. They want improvement without effort. They want transformation without surrender. But lasting transformation requires participation. You must choose it. You must embrace it. You must cooperate with it. You must be willing to release what no longer belongs in your life. And when you do, something powerful happens. Your perspective changes. Your heart becomes lighter. Your faith becomes stronger. Your vision becomes clearer. Your future becomes easier to embrace because you are no longer carrying unnecessary weight. How many opportunities have been delayed because fear was allowed to remain? How many blessings have been overlooked because attention remained fixed on disappointment? How many moments of peace were missed because old worries continued occupying your thoughts? Enough. It is time to move forward. It is time to trust again. It is time to hope again. It is time to believe again. Not because circumstances are perfect, but because I am still present. I am still leading. I am still guiding. I am still restoring. I am still opening doors. I am still working behind the scenes. And what I am preparing ahead is worth releasing what is behind. Do not be afraid of letting go. You are not losing your future. You are making room for it. You are making room for greater peace, greater clarity, greater purpose, greater confidence, greater freedom, greater joy. The next season of your life requires a lighter heart. The next season of your life requires stronger faith. The next season of your life requires clearer vision. And that journey begins with release. My child, if you are ready to let go of what has been holding you back, write these words in the comments. I release the past and embrace God's future. Declare it with faith. Declare it with expectation. Listen carefully. There is something I need you to understand before you step into the next season of your life. Not every person who began the journey with you is meant to finish it with you. I know that truth is difficult to accept. I know it challenges your emotions. I know it forces you to confront realities you may have been avoiding. But it is still truth. There are people who enter your life for a season. There are people who enter your life for a lesson. There are people who enter your life for growth. And there are people who remain for a lifetime. Wisdom is learning the difference. Many of your greatest frustrations have come from trying to force permanent relationships out of temporary assignments. You have tried to hold on to people who are already preparing to leave. You have tried to save relationships that were no longer healthy. You have tried to maintain connections that were slowly pulling you away from peace. And because you care deeply, You kept holding on long after I was asking you to release them. Understand this clearly. Not every separation is punishment. Not every ending is failure. Not every distance is loss. Sometimes distance is protection. Sometimes separation is preparation. Sometimes an ending creates room for a beginning you cannot yet see. I know there are people you miss, people you trusted, people you loved, people you expected would remain. And when they left, it created pain. You questioned yourself. You questioned the situation. You questioned why things changed. But today, I want you to stop asking why they left and start asking what the experience taught you. Because every relationship teaches something. Some teach trust, some teach wisdom, some teach discernment, some teach patience, some teach boundaries, and some teach you how valuable your peace truly is. Do not allow disappointment to blind you to the lesson. The lesson often becomes the gift hidden inside the experience. There are people who encourage your growth, and there are people who resist it. There are people who celebrate your purpose, and there are people who feel threatened by it. There are people who help you move forward, and there are people who constantly pull you backward. You must learn to recognize the difference, because the people closest to you influence more than you realize. They influence your thinking. They influence your confidence. They influence your habits. They influence your expectations. They influence your direction. That is why you must be intentional about who has access to your heart. Not everyone deserves the same level of influence. Not everyone deserves the same level of trust. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Not everyone deserves unrestricted access to your peace. Wisdom understands this. Many people mistake boundaries for rejection. But healthy boundaries are not rejection. They are stewardship. You protect what is valuable. You protect your time. You protect your focus. You protect your faith. You protect your purpose. And sometimes protecting those things requires creating distance from influences that constantly produce confusion. I want you to think carefully. Who encourages you to become better? Who inspires you to grow? Who strengthens your faith? Who challenges you to pursue purpose? Who helps you become the person I created you to be? Pay attention to those people. Value those relationships. Invest in those connections because healthy relationships are gifts. At the same time, be honest about what drains you. What constantly creates negativity? What repeatedly produces discouragement? What consistently pulls your attention away from purpose? What repeatedly weakens your peace? Awareness is not judgment. Awareness is wisdom. You cannot solve every person's problems. You cannot rescue every person from their choices. You cannot carry every burden. You cannot fix every situation. Some people must choose growth for themselves. Some people must learn lessons through their own journey. And you must stop feeling guilty for responsibilities that were never yours to carry. That is one of the reasons you have been exhausted. You have been carrying things that belong to other people, their choices, their attitudes, their decisions, their responsibilities. You care deeply. and compassion is good. But compassion without boundaries becomes unhealthy. Love does not require you to lose yourself. Love does not require you to sacrifice your peace. Love does not require you to abandon wisdom. You can love people while maintaining healthy boundaries. You can care deeply while protecting your purpose. You can remain kind while refusing to participate in dysfunction. This is maturity. This is wisdom. And this is necessary for the season ahead. Because where I am taking you requires clarity. Where I am taking you requires focus. Where I am taking you requires discernment. There are assignments ahead that require your energy. There are opportunities ahead that require your attention. There are blessings ahead that require your readiness. And you cannot fully embrace them while constantly being distracted by relationships that pull you away from your calling. Do not misunderstand me. This is not about becoming cold. This is not about becoming selfish. This is not about isolating yourself. This is about learning to walk in wisdom. This is about recognizing what strengthens your future and what weakens it. This is about understanding that peace is valuable, purpose is valuable, faith is valuable, and those things must be protected. The enemy often uses distraction before destruction. He uses confusion before compromise. He uses unhealthy influence before major mistakes. That is why discernment matters so much. Ask me for wisdom. Ask me for clarity. Ask me to reveal what you cannot see. And when I reveal it, trust what I show you. Even when it is uncomfortable, even when it requires difficult decisions, even when it requires release, because obedience creates freedom and freedom creates room for growth. There are people I am bringing into your future who will encourage your faith. People who will strengthen your purpose. People who will help you grow. People who will remind you of who you are when life becomes difficult. Do not become so focused on who left that you miss who is coming. Do not become so focused on the closed relationship that you overlook the new connections I am preparing. The future still contains beautiful relationships. The future still contains meaningful connections. The future still contains people who will walk beside you with integrity, encouragement, and wisdom. Trust me with that. Trust me with every ending. Trust me with every beginning. Trust me with every relationship. Trust me with every season, because I know what belongs in your future better than you do. My child, if you are choosing wisdom, healthy boundaries, and God's direction for your relationships, write these words in the comments. I trust God to guide the right people into my life. Declare it with faith. Declare it with confidence. If you feel blessed by these words, listen carefully. There is something happening in your life right now that is more powerful than you realize. It is not happening once a year. It is not happening once a month. It is not happening only during major decisions. It is happening every single day. And whether you recognize it or not, it is shaping your future. It is shaping your character. It is shaping your mindset. It is shaping your relationships. It is shaping your destiny. I am speaking about your habits. Many people focus on dramatic moments. They focus on life, changing events. They focus on major opportunities. They focus on breakthrough experiences. But they overlook the small daily patterns that quietly determine the direction of their lives. The truth is this: your life is often shaped more by what you repeatedly do than by what you occasionally do. One decision may change a day. A habit can change a lifetime. That is why I want your attention today, because there are habits that are strengthening you, and there are habits that are weakening you. There are patterns helping you move toward purpose, and there are patterns quietly pulling you away from it. Most people do not notice this at first. The change is gradual. The effect is subtle. The influence is quiet. But over time, those small patterns become powerful forces. A small amount of negativity repeated daily becomes discouragement. A small amount of fear repeated daily becomes anxiety. A small amount of compromise repeated daily becomes bondage. A small amount of distraction repeated daily becomes distance from purpose. This is how many people drift. Not through one dramatic decision, but through hundreds of small choices. Small choices that seem harmless in the moment, yet eventually create consequences. That is why I need you to become aware, not fearful. Aware. Take an honest look at your life. What are you feeding your mind every day? What influences your thoughts? What shapes your perspective? What receives your attention? Because whatever consistently receives your attention eventually influences your direction. If fear constantly enters your mind, fear grows. If gratitude constantly enters your heart, gratitude grows. If truth constantly enters your spirit, faith grows. What you feed becomes stronger. This principle affects every area of life. Your thoughts, your relationships, your emotions, your spiritual growth, your future, everything. The enemy understands this. That is why he often works through small compromises. He rarely begins with destruction. He begins with distraction. He begins with delay. He begins with small habits that seem insignificant. A little less prayer, a little less gratitude, a little less discipline, a little more worry, a little more comparison, a little more compromise. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, just enough to slowly shift direction. Because direction determines destination, and small shifts in direction create major differences over time. That is why you must pay attention. Do not wait until consequences become visible. Examine your patterns now. Examine your habits now. Examine your routines now. Because today's habits are creating tomorrow's reality. Some of you have been praying for change while continuing the same patterns. You want different results. You want greater peace. You want stronger faith. You want deeper purpose. Yet, you continue feeding the habits that create the opposite. You cannot consistently plant fear and expect confidence. You cannot consistently plant negativity and expect joy. You cannot consistently plant distraction and expect focus. The harvest follows the seed always. This is not punishment. This is principle. And principles work whether people recognize them or not. That is why transformation requires participation. I will guide you. I will strengthen you. I will help you. But you must also choose. You must choose what you allow into your mind. You must choose what influences your heart. You must choose how you spend your time. You must choose what receives your energy. Those choices matter more than you realize. Every day you are becoming something. Every day you are moving somewhere. Every day you are building something. The question is whether what you are building aligns with your purpose. Many people wait for motivation. They wait until they feel inspired. They wait until they feel ready. But discipline often accomplishes what motivation never can. Discipline keeps moving when emotions fluctuate. Discipline remains faithful when excitement fades. Discipline continues planting seeds even before harvest appears. And over time, discipline creates freedom. Freedom from chaos, freedom from inconsistency, freedom from habits that no longer serve your future. I want you to understand something important. You do not need to change everything overnight. You do not need to become perfect immediately. You do not need to solve every weakness today. Growth happens one step at a time, one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one day at a time. Focus on progress. Focus on consistency. Focus on becoming slightly stronger than yesterday, because small improvements repeated consistently become extraordinary transformation over time. Never underestimate the power of daily faithfulness. A daily prayer matters. A daily act of gratitude matters. A daily choice to trust matters. A daily decision to obey matters. Those moments may seem small, but they are shaping the person you are becoming, and the person you are becoming is preparing for the future I have planned. Remember this: the future is not created in a single moment. The future is created through repeated choices, repeated faith, repeated trust, repeated obedience, repeated growth. That is why I am asking you today to examine your habits honestly, not with condemnation, with wisdom. Ask yourself, what habits strengthen my peace? What habits strengthen my faith? What habits strengthen my purpose? And what habits are quietly stealing them? Then have the courage to make adjustments, because every adjustment you make today can create a different future tomorrow. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for willingness. I am not asking for instant transformation. I am asking for consistent progress. I am not asking you to become someone else. I am helping you become who I created you to be. My child, if you are ready to build habits that strengthen your faith and align with God's purpose, write these words in the comments. I will choose daily growth. Declare it with conviction. Declare it with expectation. Listen carefully. There is an enemy of purpose that many people never recognize. It does not arrive looking dangerous. It does not announce itself with warning signs. It does not appear as an obvious threat. In fact, it often feels pleasant. It often feels safe. It often feels reasonable. And that is exactly why so many people fall into it. I am speaking about comfort. Not the healthy rest that restores your strength. Not the peace that comes from trusting me. Not the joy that comes from living in my presence. I am speaking about the kind of comfort that convinces you to stop growing. The kind of comfort that persuades you to remain where you are even when you know you are being called higher. The kind of comfort that whispers, "Stay here, do not risk anything. Do not change anything. Do not challenge yourself." And little by little, comfort becomes a cage. Most people do not abandon their purpose because they hate it. They abandon it because comfort feels easier. Comfort tells them to wait another day. Comfort tells them to delay obedience. Comfort tells them to postpone growth. Comfort tells them that tomorrow will be a better time to begin. But tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And before they realize it, opportunities have passed. Potential remains undeveloped. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. Purpose remains unexplored, not because they lacked ability, not because they lacked intelligence, not because they lacked opportunity, because they became comfortable. I need you to hear this clearly. Growth always requires movement. Growth always requires change. Growth always requires faith, and faith cannot grow where comfort rules everything. Think about your own life. How many times have you known what needed to change? How many times have you felt my guidance? How many times have you sensed a new direction, yet fear of discomfort convinced you to remain where you were? Not because you wanted less, but because the familiar felt safer than the unknown. This happens more often than you realize. People remain in unhealthy patterns because they are familiar. People remain in limiting mindsets because they are familiar. People remain in fear because it feels predictable. People remain in spiritual stagnation because growth requires effort. And little by little, comfort steals momentum. Comfort steals vision. Comfort steals courage. Comfort steals possibility. The enemy understands something important. If he cannot stop your purpose completely, he will try to delay it. If he cannot destroy your calling, he will try to distract you from it. If he cannot make you quit, he will try to make you comfortable enough to stop pursuing growth. Because a comfortable person rarely reaches their full potential. Potential requires stretching. Potential requires learning. Potential requires faith. Potential requires movement, and movement often feels uncomfortable at first. That is why so many important moments in life begin with uncertainty. When I call people into something greater, they rarely feel fully prepared. When I call people into growth, they rarely feel completely confident. When I call people into new seasons, they rarely have every answer. Yet those who trust me move forward anyway. They do not wait until fear disappears. They choose faith despite fear. They do not wait until every question is answered. They trust me with the unanswered questions. They do not wait until the path becomes easy. They begin walking. And as they walk, clarity increases, strength increases, confidence increases, faith increases because movement creates growth. Some of you have been standing at the edge of change for too long. You know there are habits that need adjustment. You know there are fears that need confronting. You know there are dreams that need pursuing. You know there are conversations that need to happen. You know there are steps that need to be taken. But comfort keeps telling you to wait. Comfort keeps telling you that someday will be better. Comfort keeps telling you that there is no urgency. Yet I am telling you something different. Do not waste the opportunities that are in front of you today. Do not postpone growth that can begin now. Do not delay obedience that can start now. Because every day matters, every decision matters, every step matters. The future is being built right now, not someday today. And while perfection is not required, movement is. You do not need every answer before taking the first step. You simply need enough faith to begin. Many people spend years waiting for certainty. But certainty often comes after obedience, not before. The path becomes clearer as you walk. The lesson becomes clearer as you learn. The purpose becomes clearer as you pursue it. That is how growth works. Do not let comfort convince you that staying the same is safer. Because staying the same carries risks too. Remaining in fear carries risks. Remaining in doubt carries risks. Remaining in unhealthy habits carries risks. Remaining disconnected from purpose carries risks. Sometimes the greatest risk is refusing to grow. I want more for you than survival. I want more for you than routine. I want more for you than simply getting through each day. I want you to experience purpose. I want you to experience growth. I want you to experience peace that comes from alignment with my will. I want you to experience the fulfillment that comes from becoming who you were created to be. And that requires courage. Not perfect courage, not fearless courage, faith-filled courage. The courage to take the next step, the courage to trust me. The courage to move forward even when the future remains unclear. because I am already in the future you are worried about. I am already preparing what you cannot yet see. I am already working in ways you do not yet understand. You do not have to carry tomorrow. You only need to obey today. And if you do that consistently, you will be amazed at how much your life can change. My child, if you are ready to leave comfort behind and pursue the growth God is calling you toward, write these words in the comments. I choose growth over comfort. Declare it with faith. Declare it with courage. Listen carefully. There is something you use every day, something so familiar that you rarely think about it. Something so common that most people underestimate its influence. Yet, it has the power to strengthen your faith or weaken it. It has the power to build hope or spread fear. It has the power to create confidence or reinforce doubt. I am speaking about your words. Many people do not realize how often they speak defeat over their own lives. They speak limitations before they even try. They speak failure before they take action. They speak fear before they seek wisdom. They speak discouragement before they seek my perspective. And over time, those words begin shaping how they think. Those thoughts begin shaping how they act. Those actions begin shaping their future. That is why your words matter. Your words reveal what your heart believes. Your words reveal what your mind is focused on. Your words reveal whether you are operating from faith or fear. Listen to the things people say when challenges appear. This will never work. Nothing ever changes. I will always struggle. I am not capable. I am too late. It is impossible. Those statements may feel harmless, but repeated often enough they become beliefs, and beliefs influence direction. The enemy understands this. That is why he wants negative thoughts to become negative words. Because once those words are repeated consistently, they begin influencing identity. They begin influencing expectation. They begin influencing behavior, and eventually they begin influencing outcomes. I need you to understand something today. There is a difference between acknowledging reality and surrendering to defeat. Faith does not deny challenges. Faith does not pretend problems do not exist. Faith simply refuses to give problems the final word. You can acknowledge difficulty while still believing for victory. You can recognize obstacles while still expecting growth. You can admit uncertainty while still trusting me. That is faith. Some of you have spent years speaking against yourselves. You criticize yourself more harshly than anyone else ever could. You constantly focus on weaknesses. You constantly revisit mistakes. You constantly rehearse failures. And without realizing it, you have become your own greatest source of discouragement. That was never my intention. I did not create you to live under constant self-condemnation. I did not create you to become trapped by negative labels. I did not create you to spend your life speaking defeat over your future. I created you to walk in truth, and truth speaks differently. Truth says growth is possible. Truth says healing is possible. Truth says change is possible. Truth says restoration is possible. Truth says your future can be different from your past. Truth says I am still working. Remember this. The words you speak repeatedly become the atmosphere in which your thoughts live. If your words are constantly negative, your thoughts become heavier. If your words are constantly fearful, your perspective becomes smaller. If your words are constantly hopeless, your faith becomes weaker. But when your words align with truth, something begins to change. Hope grows, faith grows, confidence grows, expectation grows. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude changes what you focus on. Gratitude reminds you of blessings. Gratitude reminds you of victories. Gratitude reminds you of my faithfulness. A grateful heart sees opportunities where others see only obstacles. A grateful heart sees lessons where others see only problems. A grateful heart sees hope where others see only disappointment. That does not mean life becomes perfect. It means perspective becomes healthier, and perspective influences everything. The enemy wants your attention fixed on what is missing. I want your attention fixed on what remains possible. The enemy wants you constantly speaking about problems. I want you speaking about purpose. The enemy wants you repeating fear. I want you repeating truth. There is power in what you repeatedly declare. Not because words alone create reality, but because words influence belief. Belief influences action. Action influences direction, and direction influences destination. That is why I want you to become intentional about what comes out of your mouth. Speak hope, speak gratitude, speak faith, speak life. When fear tries to dominate your thinking, remind yourself that I am still with you. When discouragement tries to overwhelm you, remind yourself that growth is still happening. When uncertainty tries to weaken your confidence, remind yourself that I already know the path ahead. You do not need to pretend everything is easy. You simply need to refuse to let negativity become your identity. Remember how many battles you have already survived. Remember how many obstacles you have already overcome. Remember how many prayers I have already answered. Remember how many times I have carried you through situations that once seemed impossible. You are not starting from zero. You have history with me. You have evidence of my faithfulness. You have proof that I can sustain you. And that evidence should influence your words. Let your speech reflect trust. Let your speech reflect hope. Let your speech reflect faith. Not because circumstances are perfect, but because I remain faithful regardless of circumstances. There are people around you who desperately need encouragement. There are people around you who need hope. There are people around you who need someone to remind them that better days are still possible. And sometimes the words I place in your heart can become the encouragement they need. That is another reason your words matter. Words can heal, words can strengthen, words can inspire, words can restore. Use them wisely, use them intentionally, use them in ways that honor the purpose I have placed inside you. Because your future is too valuable to keep speaking against it. Your purpose is too important to keep criticizing it. Your calling is too significant to keep doubting it. Speak according to truth. Speak according to faith. Speak according to the future I am preparing. My child, if you are ready to stop speaking fear and start speaking faith, write these words in the comments. I will speak life, faith, and truth. Declare it boldly. Declare it with confidence. Listen carefully. There is a reason the enemy works so hard to keep your attention fixed on what is missing. There is a reason he constantly tries to draw your focus toward problems, disappointments, delays, and fears. Because whatever holds your attention eventually influences your perspective, and your perspective influences the way you experience life. Many people are surrounded by blessings they can no longer see because they have become consumed by what they do not yet have. They focus on the door that remains closed and forget the doors that already open. They focus on the prayer that has not been answered and forget the prayers that already were. They focus on what went wrong and overlook everything that has gone right, and little by little their vision becomes distorted. Not because life contains no blessings, but because their attention has been trained to notice only what is lacking. I do not want that for you. I want you to see clearly. I want you to recognize my faithfulness. I want you to notice the evidence of my presence that surrounds you every day because it is there. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our co-faith community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Even now, even during difficult seasons, even during uncertain seasons, even during painful seasons, there are blessings around you that you may have overlooked. The breath in your lungs, the strength that carried you through another day, the lessons you have learned, the wisdom you have gained, the opportunities you still possess, the people who genuinely care about you, the growth taking place inside you, the fact that you are still here. Do not underestimate those gifts. Many people spend their lives chasing future blessings while ignoring present ones. They constantly tell themselves they will be grateful later, grateful when the breakthrough comes, grateful when the answer arrives, grateful when circumstances improve, grateful when life becomes easier. But gratitude that depends entirely upon circumstances is fragile. True gratitude sees value even during waiting. True gratitude sees blessings even during challenges. True gratitude sees evidence of my goodness even before every prayer is answered. That is why gratitude is powerful. Gratitude does not deny problems. Gratitude simply refuses to allow problems to become the entire story. You can acknowledge difficulties while remaining thankful. You can recognize challenges while remaining grateful. You can admit uncertainty while still appreciating what you have been given. And when you do, something remarkable begins to happen. Your perspective changes, your attitude changes, your emotional strength changes. Your faith grows stronger because gratitude reminds you that I have already been faithful. And if I have been faithful before, I could be faithful again. Think about your own life. There were seasons you thought would break you. There were challenges you thought would defeat you. There were obstacles you believed you could never overcome. Yet somehow you made it through. Not because you were perfect, not because you had all the answers, but because I carried you. I sustained you. I strengthened you. I guided you. You have evidence of my faithfulness. Do not forget it. The enemy wants short memories. He wants you to forget victories. He wants you to forget answered prayers. He wants you to forget how far you have come, because forgotten victories create unnecessary fear. But remembered faithfulness creates confidence. Remember what I have already done. Remember how I provided. Remember how I protected. Remember how I guided. Remember how I restored. Those memories are not accidents. They are reminders. Reminders that you are not facing today's challenges alone. Reminders that the same God who helped you before is still helping you now. Some of you have become discouraged because life looks different than you expected. The timeline changed, the plan changed, the circumstances changed. And because of that, gratitude became more difficult. But I want to tell you something important. A different path does not mean an abandoned purpose. A delayed answer does not mean a denied future. A difficult season does not mean an absent God. I am still present. I am still working. I am still leading. And there is still much to be thankful for. Gratitude creates room for hope. Hope creates room for faith. Faith creates room for growth. And growth prepares you for what is ahead. That is why gratitude is not merely an emotion. It is a choice. A daily choice, a powerful choice, a life-changing choice. Every day you can choose where your attention rests. You can focus entirely on what is wrong, or you can acknowledge difficulties while also recognizing blessings. You can focus entirely on what is missing, or you can appreciate what has already been given. You can focus entirely on fear, or you can remember my faithfulness. That choice influences everything. It influences your peace. It influences your outlook. It influences your relationships. It influences your spiritual growth. It influences your ability to recognize opportunities. Because grateful hearts often notice opportunities that discouraged hearts overlook. Grateful hearts remain open. Grateful hearts remain hopeful. Grateful hearts remain teachable. And those qualities are essential for the season ahead. There are blessings approaching that require expectation. There are opportunities approaching that require awareness. There are lessons approaching that require humility. And gratitude helps prepare you for all of them. Do not wait for perfect circumstances before becoming thankful. Do not wait until every prayer is answered before expressing gratitude. Do not wait until life becomes easier before recognizing my goodness. Start now. Start today. Look around. Look within. Notice the ways I have already been working. Notice the ways I have already been providing. Notice the ways I have already been carrying you. Because the more clearly you see my faithfulness, the easier it becomes to trust me with your future. My child, if you are choosing gratitude today, write these words in the comments. I thank God for what He has already done. Declare it with sincerity. Declare it with faith. Listen carefully. There is something I need you to understand today because it has caused confusion in the hearts of many people. It has caused disappointment. It has caused doubt. It has caused some to wonder whether I was listening at all. I am speaking about the prayers you believe went unanswered, the prayers you prayed with tears, the prayers you prayed with faith, the prayers you repeated again and again, the prayers you carried for months, sometimes for years. You asked, you believed, you hoped, and then nothing seemed to happen, at least from your perspective. So you began wondering whether I heard you. You began wondering whether your prayers mattered. You began wondering whether I cared. But hear me clearly. I heard every word. I saw every tear. I understood every fear hidden behind every prayer. Not one request escaped my attention. Not one cry was ignored. Not one moment of faith was wasted. The problem is that many people assume an unanswered prayer means I said no. Sometimes what appears to be a no is actually a wait. Sometimes what appears to be silence is actually preparation. Sometimes what appears to be delay is actually protection, because I see things you cannot see. You see the request. I see the outcome. You see the opportunity. I see the consequence. You see the immediate desire. I see the long-term impact. That is why my answers are guided by wisdom, not simply by urgency. There are prayers you prayed that I answered differently than you expected. You asked for a specific door to open. I closed it not because I wanted to hurt you, because I wanted to protect you. You asked for a certain relationship to remain. I allowed it to end. Not because I stopped caring, because I could see where that path would lead. You asked for immediate success. I gave you preparation instead, because the blessing would have arrived before your character was ready to sustain it. You called it delay. I called it mercy. You called it disappointment. I called it protection. You called it silence. I called it preparation. And one day, many of those answers will become clear. You will look back and realize that what seemed unfair was actually wisdom. What seemed painful was actually preservation. What seemed like rejection was actually redirection. Think about your life. Have there been moments when you desperately wanted something, only to discover later that not receiving it was one of the greatest blessings? Have there been doors you cried over that now make sense? Have there been opportunities you lost that ultimately protected you? Have there been delays that eventually worked in your favor? You already possess evidence that my wisdom exceeds your understanding. Do not forget that the enemy wants you to interpret every delay as abandonment. I want you to interpret delay through trust. Trust does not require complete understanding. Trust simply recognizes that I see more than you do. A child does not always understand why a loving parent says no. Yet the parent understands what the child cannot. In the same way, there have been moments when I protected you from things you desperately wanted. And if you could see everything I see, you would thank me for it. There are dangers you never encountered because I intervened. There are mistakes you never made because I redirected you. There are losses you never experienced because I prevented them. You may never fully know how many times my protection surrounded your life, but it happened again and again. Even when you were unaware, even when you were distracted, even when you doubted, I remained faithful. That is why I need you to stop measuring my love by whether every request receives the answer you expected. My love is deeper than immediate gratification. My love is wiser than temporary desires. My love is committed to your long-term good, not merely your short-term comfort. And sometimes that means saying, wait. Sometimes that means saying, not yet. Sometimes that means guiding you down a different path. Not because I am withholding good things, because I am preparing better things. Many people focus so intensely on one answer that they miss the larger work I am doing. They become obsessed with one closed door and overlook 10 open ones. They become discouraged by one delay and ignore all the growth occurring around them. Do not make that mistake. Lift your eyes. Look beyond the single prayer. Look beyond the single disappointment. Look beyond the single unanswered question. I am doing more than one thing at a time. I am working in multiple areas of your life. I am developing character, building wisdom, strengthening faith, opening opportunities, arranging connections, preparing future blessings. And all of those things matter. Some answers are still coming. Some doors are still opening. Some breakthroughs are still approaching. Some prayers are still moving toward fulfillment. Do not lose faith now. Do not stop believing now. Do not interpret temporary silence as permanent absence. I am still listening. I am still working. I am still responding. And my timing remains perfect even when it feels slow. One day you will see the entire picture. One day you will understand why certain answers took longer. One day you will understand why certain doors remain closed. One day you will understand why certain seasons required patience. And when that day comes, you will see that my faithfulness never left you. Not for a moment, not for a single day, not for a single prayer. My child, if you trust that God is working even when you do not understand His timing, write these words in the comments. I trust God's wisdom more than my understanding. Declare it with faith. Declare it with peace. Listen carefully. There comes a moment in every person's journey when ordinary belief is no longer enough. A moment when comfort can no longer sustain growth. A moment when old ways of thinking can no longer support the future ahead. A moment when faith must deepen. This is one of those moments. I have been preparing you. Not only through blessings, not only through victories, but through challenges, through waiting, through uncertainty. Through lessons you did not always understand while you were learning them. Because the season ahead will require a stronger foundation than the season behind you. The opportunities ahead will require greater trust. The responsibilities ahead will require greater maturity. The blessings ahead will require greater wisdom, and the influence ahead will require greater faith. Many people believe faith is simply believing that everything will work out. But faith is deeper than that. Faith is trusting me when circumstances suggest otherwise. Faith is moving forward when certainty is unavailable. Faith is obeying even when complete understanding has not arrived. Faith is remaining steady when emotions fluctuate. Faith is choosing trust over fear again and again. That kind of faith changes people. That kind of faith transforms lives. That kind of faith creates strength that circumstances cannot destroy. And that is the kind of faith I want to develop within you. I know there are areas of your life where uncertainty still exists. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our cool Phi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Questions remain unanswered. Details remain unclear. Certain outcomes remain unknown. And part of you wishes I would reveal everything immediately. Part of you wishes I would show you the entire path. Part of you wishes certainty would replace every doubt. But if I showed you everything today, faith would not need to grow. Trust develops when you continue walking without seeing the entire road. Strength develops when you continue believing without possessing every answer. Character develops when you remain faithful through uncertainty. That is why I often reveal the next step rather than the entire journey. Because I am teaching you dependence, not dependence upon circumstances, not dependence upon human approval, dependence upon me. The world teaches people to trust only what they can see. I teach people to trust beyond what they can see. The world teaches people to rely solely on themselves. I teach people to rely upon my wisdom. The world teaches people to pursue control. I teach people to pursue trust. And trust changes everything. Because trust produces peace where fear once existed. Trust produces courage where hesitation once existed. Trust produces stability where anxiety once existed. Some of you are standing at a crossroads right now. You sense that change is approaching. You sense that growth is necessary. You sense that a new season is beginning. But uncertainty makes you nervous. You wonder whether you are prepared. You wonder whether you are capable. You wonder whether you can handle what comes next. Hear me clearly. If I am leading you toward it, I will equip you for it. If I am calling you toward it, I will strengthen you for it. If I am opening the door, I will provide what is necessary for you to walk through it. You do not need to possess all the strength today. You only need enough faith for today's step. Tomorrow's strength will arrive tomorrow. Tomorrow's wisdom will arrive tomorrow. Tomorrow's grace will arrive tomorrow. Stop exhausting yourself, trying to carry tomorrow before it arrives. That burden was never yours. Too many people spend today's energy worrying about future possibilities. They rehearse problems that have not happened. They fear outcomes that may never occur. They imagine disasters that do not exist, and in doing so, they lose the peace available right now. Do not fall into that trap. Stay present, stay attentive. Stay faithful, because faith operates in the present moment. Faith chooses trust today. Faith chooses obedience today. Faith chooses hope today. And those daily choices create extraordinary outcomes over time. I want you to understand something important. The next season will not require perfection. It will require surrender. The next season will not require fearlessness. It will require trust. The next season will not require complete understanding. It will require willingness. Many people wait until they feel fully prepared before taking action. But growth rarely works that way. Preparation often continues while you move forward. Confidence often develops while you obey. Clarity often increases while you walk. Do not wait until every fear disappears. Move forward with me anyway. Do not wait until every question is answered. Trust me anyway. Do not wait until every uncertainty vanishes. Follow me anyway. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing faith despite fear. And faith is what will carry you through what comes next. The season ahead contains opportunities. It contains lessons. It contains growth. It contains blessings. It contains challenges that will strengthen you. And through it all, I will remain faithful, just as I've always been. Look back for a moment. Remember the battles you already survived. Remember the obstacles you already overcame. Remember the seasons you thought would break you. Yet you are still here, stronger, wiser, more mature, more resilient. That did not happen by accident. It happened because I was working, and I am still working now. My child, the future is not something to fear. The future is something to prepare for. And preparation begins with trust. Trust me with the unanswered questions. Trust me with the unfinished details. Trust me with the uncertain path. Trust me with the next step, because I already stand in the future you are worried about, and I am already making a way. My child, if you are ready to trust God with your next season, write these words in the comments. My faith is greater than my fear. Declare it with confidence. Declare it with expectation. Listen carefully. There is a point in every journey where effort alone is no longer enough. A point where striving becomes exhausting. A point where control becomes a burden. A point where the soul realizes it was never meant to carry everything by itself. Many of you have reached that point. You have tried to solve every problem. You have tried to predict every outcome. You have tried to prepare for every possibility. You have tried to hold everything together. And now you are tired. Not because you are weak, not because you lack faith, but because you have been carrying responsibilities that were never meant to belong to you. I need you to understand something today. There is a difference between responsibility and control. I have called you to be responsible. I never called you to control everything. Responsibility means taking faithful action. Control means trying to force outcomes. Responsibility means obedience. Control means anxiety. Responsibility means trust. Control means fear disguised as preparation. And many people spend years trapped in that cycle. They think they are helping themselves. They think they are protecting themselves. They think they are preventing disappointment. But what they are really doing is carrying a weight that was never theirs to carry. That is why I am calling you into surrender. Not surrender as defeat, not surrender as weakness, surrender as freedom, surrender as trust, surrender as alignment. Because the moment you release what you cannot control, you create space for peace. And peace is something many of you have been missing. You have been trying to manufacture peace through certainty. You have been trying to manufacture peace through planning. You have been trying to manufacture peace through control. But peace was never designed to come from control. Peace comes from trust. Peace comes from knowing that I am still on the throne. Peace comes from remembering that I am still working. Peace comes from believing that my wisdom exceeds your understanding. Think about how much energy you have spent worrying. How many hours have been lost in conversations? How many nights have been spent imagining worst-case scenarios? How many opportunities for joy have been stolen by fear about the future? The future you worried about often never arrived, yet the worry consumed your present. That is exactly what fear wants. Fear wants your attention. Fear wants your focus. Fear wants your energy. Fear wants you living in imaginary futures instead of the reality I have given you today. But today I am inviting you into something better. I am inviting you into trust. Trust does not mean ignoring responsibility. Trust means releasing outcomes. Trust means doing your part and allowing me to do mine. Trust means moving forward without demanding complete certainty. Trust means believing that even when you cannot see the entire picture, I still can. There are things happening right now that you do not understand. Doors are being arranged. Lessons are being completed. Connections are being prepared. Opportunities are being positioned. Answers are moving closer. And while all of that is happening, you are tempted to panic because you cannot yet see it. But why fear what I already see clearly? Why panic about what is already in my hands? Why exhaust yourself carrying burdens that I never asked you to carry? The truth is this: you were never meant to be your own savior. You were never meant to have every answer. You were never meant to control every outcome. You were never meant to predict every detail of your future. You were meant to trust me. That is where freedom begins. Many people think surrender means losing something. In reality, surrender often means gaining something. You gain peace. You gain clarity. You gain emotional freedom. You gain spiritual strength. You gain room to breathe again because your hands are no longer full of burdens. Your heart is no longer crowded with fear. Your mind is no longer overwhelmed by endless worry. Surrender creates space. Space for peace, space for faith, space for wisdom, space for my guidance. Some of you have been praying for direction while refusing to release control. But guidance becomes easier to recognize when fear becomes quieter. Guidance becomes easier to recognize when trust becomes stronger. Guidance becomes easier to recognize when surrender replaces striving. That is why I am asking you today, what are you still trying to control? What burden are you refusing to release? What fear are you still holding? What outcome are you trying to force? Be honest. Because honesty is where healing begins, and healing is where freedom begins. You do not need to carry it anymore. You do not need to solve everything today. You do not need to know everything today. You do not need to force every answer today. You simply need to trust me with the next step. One step, one day, one decision, one act of faith at a time. That is how peace grows. That is how faith grows. That is how purpose unfolds. Not through panic, not through pressure, not through control, through trust. And I want you to remember something before we finish this part. Everything you have survived proves that my faithfulness has not failed you. Everything you have overcome proves that my strength has carried you. Everything you have learned proves that my guidance has been working. Do not abandon trust. Now you have come too far. You have grown too much. You have learned too much. The breakthrough you seek may begin with one simple decision: to stop trying to carry what belongs in my hands. My child, if you are ready to surrender control and trust God's direction, write these words in the comments. I surrender my worries to God. Declare it with faith. Declare it with peace. Listen carefully. There is something I need you to understand before you move into the next season of your life. For too long, you have been looking at yourself through the lens of what happened to you. You have measured your value by your wounds. You have measured your potential by your failures. You have measured your future by your disappointments. And without realizing it, you have accepted an identity that was never given by me. Pain has a voice. Disappointment has a voice. Fear has a voice. Rejection has a voice. Failure has a voice. And if you listen to those voices long enough, they begin telling you who you are. They begin creating labels. Labels that limit. Labels that discourage. Labels that keep people trapped. Perhaps your pain told you that you are broken. Perhaps your disappointment told you that you are forgotten. Perhaps your failure told you that you are incapable. Perhaps your rejection told you that you are unworthy. Perhaps your fear told you that you are too weak. And because those experiences felt real, the labels felt believable. But I need you to hear me clearly. An experience is not an identity. A season is not an identity. A struggle is not an identity. A mistake is not an identity. You are not who your pain said you were. You are not who your fear said you were. You are not who your disappointment said you were. You are who I say you are. And my view of you has never changed. Even when you doubted yourself, even when you questioned your worth, even when you felt lost, even when you felt ashamed, my perspective remained the same. Because I see beyond your wounds. I see beyond your mistakes. I see beyond your current circumstances. I see the person I created. I see the purpose I placed inside you. I see the potential that still exists. I see the future that is still possible. That is why I am speaking to you today. Because some of you have become trapped by an outdated version of yourselves. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. You keep defining yourself by chapters that have already ended. You keep introducing yourself to the future using labels from the past. You keep carrying identities that no longer belong to you. And those identities are limiting what you believe is possible. Think about how often you speak about yourself. Do you speak with hope? Do you speak with confidence? Or do you constantly repeat old labels? Do you constantly remind yourself of old failures? Do you constantly revisit old wounds? Do you constantly reinforce old fears? If so, then part of your struggle may not be your circumstances. Part of your struggle may be your identity, because people rarely rise beyond what they believe about themselves. If you believe you are incapable, you hesitate. If you believe you are unworthy, you settle. If you believe you are defeated, you stop trying. If you believe you are forgotten, you stop expecting good things. That is why the enemy works so hard to attack identity. Because if he can convince you that you are less than who I created you to be, he can limit what you pursue. He can limit what you attempt. He can limit what you believe. But today I want to break those limitations. Today I want to remind you of truth. You are not disqualified because of your past. You are not finished because of a failure. You are not abandoned because of a difficult season. You are not forgotten because an answer has not arrived yet. You are not weak because you struggled. You are not worthless because someone rejected you. You are not hopeless because circumstances remain uncertain. You are still growing. You are still learning. You are still becoming. And the story is not over. Many people make the mistake of treating their current chapter as the entire book. They assume today's struggle defines tomorrow. They assume today's challenge determines the future. They assume today's emotions reveal permanent reality. But life does not work that way. Growth continues, change continues, healing continues, development continues, and my work within you continues. Some of the people you admire today once felt exactly as uncertain as you feel. Some of the strongest people you know once questioned themselves. Some of the wisest people you know once felt lost. Some of the most effective people you know once doubted their potential. The difference is not that they never struggled. The difference is that they refused to allow struggle to define identity. And I want the same for you. I want you to stop introducing yourself according to old wounds. I want you to stop limiting yourself according to past experiences. I want you to stop repeating labels that I never gave you. Instead, begin seeing yourself through truth. See yourself as someone who is growing. See yourself as someone who is learning. See yourself as someone who is capable of change. See yourself as someone who is loved. See yourself as someone with purpose. See yourself as someone whose future is still being written, because that is the truth, and truth creates freedom. Truth creates confidence. Truth creates courage. Truth creates movement. The future I am preparing requires a healthier identity than the one you have been carrying. The opportunities ahead require confidence. The assignments ahead require faith. The relationships ahead require maturity. The blessings ahead require someone who understands their value, not because of perfection, because of purpose. That purpose still exists. That calling still exists. That future still exists. And it is time to stop allowing old labels to limit new possibilities. My child, if you're ready to release false labels and embrace the identity God has given you, write these words in the comments. I am who God says I am. Declare it with confidence. Declare it with faith. Listen carefully. There is something many people overlook, something so common that it rarely receives attention, something so ordinary that most people fail to recognize its importance. Yet it is one of the places where destinies are shaped. It is one of the places where character is built. It is one of the places where purpose develops. I am speaking about ordinary days. Most people spend their lives waiting for extraordinary moments. They wait for the breakthrough. They wait for the promotion. They wait for the miracle. They wait for the opportunity. They wait for the season when everything finally changes. And while they are waiting, they overlook the value of today. They overlook the importance of ordinary faithfulness. They overlook the power of small daily obedience. They overlook the lessons hidden inside routine moments. But I want you to understand something. Extraordinary lives are often built during ordinary days, not during dramatic moments, not during public victories, not during major celebrations, during daily faithfulness, during quiet obedience, during consistent growth. That is where preparation happens. Think about a tree. Nobody notices its growth from one day to the next. The change is gradual. The development is quiet. The progress is invisible. Yet year after year it becomes stronger. Its roots grow deeper. Its branches grow wider. Its ability to withstand storms increases. And one day people admire the strength they never watched develop. That is how growth often works in your life. The greatest transformations are rarely instant. They happen one day at a time, one decision at a time, one lesson at a time, one act of faithfulness at a time. That is why I do not want you to despise ordinary seasons. Do not call them wasted. Do not call them insignificant. Do not call them unimportant, because many of the qualities you will need tomorrow are being developed today. Patience is being developed. Wisdom is being developed. Character is being developed. Discipline is being developed. Faith is being developed. And those qualities matter more than you realize. The world celebrates visible success. I often celebrate invisible faithfulness. The world applauds achievements. I notice consistency. The world focuses on outcomes. I focus on growth because growth creates lasting results. Many people want large opportunities, but they ignore small responsibilities. They want greater influence, but they neglect present stewardship. They want larger assignments, but they avoid current opportunities. Yet faithfulness in small things often prepares people for greater things. What you do today matters. How you treat people today matters. How you manage your attitude today matters. How you respond to challenges today matters. How you handle responsibilities today matters. Nothing is insignificant. Everything contributes to who you are becoming. Some of you have become discouraged because life feels ordinary right now. You expected more progress. You expected faster results. You expected greater change. And because the season feels ordinary, you have begun questioning whether anything meaningful is happening. But meaningful things are happening. You are learning. You are growing. You are becoming stronger. You are becoming wiser. You are becoming more prepared than you realize. The enemy wants you to become frustrated with ordinary progress because frustration often leads people to quit. Frustration often causes people to overlook growth. Frustration often causes people to abandon consistency. But consistency is powerful. Consistency creates momentum. Consistency creates stability. Consistency creates transformation. That is why I want you to stay faithful. Stay faithful when results seem slow. Stay faithful when recognition is absent. Stay faithful when growth feels invisible. Stay faithful when progress appears small, because small progress is still progress. A single step forward matters. A single act of obedience matters. A single decision to trust matters. A single day of faithfulness matters, and those moments accumulate over time. They create remarkable change. Do not compare your chapter to someone else's highlight reel. Do not compare your process to another person's results. You are seeing only part of their story. Focus on your journey. Focus on your growth. Focus on your assignment. Because your future is being built right now, not someday today. The person you are becoming matters. The habits you are developing matter. The character you are building matters. The lessons you are learning matter. And one day you will understand why this season was necessary. One day you will recognize how much growth occurred during what appeared to be ordinary days. One day you will see how preparation was taking place all along. You will see how I was strengthening you. You will see how I was guiding you. You will see how I was developing qualities that success alone could never create. And when that day comes, you will be grateful that you remained faithful. You will be grateful that you continued trusting. You will be grateful that you continued growing, because extraordinary opportunities often arrive unexpectedly. And when they arrive, preparation determines whether you are ready. That is why I want you to value today. Value the lessons. Value the opportunities. Value the growth. Value the process. Because the process is preparing you for something greater. The future is closer than you think. The opportunities are closer than you think. The breakthrough is closer than you think. But before those things arrive, remain faithful where you are. Remain teachable. Remain grateful. Remain obedient. Remain focused. And keep trusting me, because I am still working. I am still preparing. I am still guiding, and I am still writing your story. My child, if you are choosing to remain faithful in the small things, write these words in the comments. I will be faithful where God has placed me. Declare it with conviction. Declare it with trust. Listen carefully. You have come this far for a reason, not by accident, not because you happened to stay, not because these words randomly crossed your path. You are here because your soul has been searching for clarity, searching for peace, searching for purpose, searching for truth. And now, before this journey ends, there is one final truth I need you to understand. Everything I have spoken to you leads to this. Every lesson, every challenge, every delay, every victory, every disappointment, every unanswered question, every season of waiting, every moment of growth, every battle you survived, every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered, none of it was meaningless. None of it was wasted. None of it happened outside of my awareness. I know there were times when life felt confusing. Times when you questioned where you were going. Times when you wondered whether your efforts mattered. Times when you wondered if anyone truly saw what you were carrying. But I saw it. I saw every hidden struggle. I saw every silent battle. I saw every act of faith that nobody else noticed. I saw every moment you chose to keep going when quitting felt easier. I saw every time you trusted me despite uncertainty. I saw every time you got back up after disappointment. Nothing escaped my attention, and because I saw it, I was working through it. Many people believe purpose arrives suddenly. They imagine one dramatic moment, one powerful revelation, one extraordinary event. But purpose usually unfolds differently. Purpose is revealed through daily faithfulness. Purpose is revealed through obedience. Purpose is revealed through growth. Purpose is revealed through trust. Purpose is revealed one step at a time. That is why your journey has mattered. Every lesson was preparing you. Every challenge was strengthening you. Every delay was teaching you. Every struggle was developing something valuable. Not because suffering itself is the goal, but because growth often happens through experiences you would never choose for yourself. You will have become stronger than you realize, wiser than you realize, more resilient than you realize, more prepared than you realize. And the season ahead will reveal that. The enemy wanted you to believe your story was defined by pain. I want you to understand that your story is defined by purpose. The enemy wanted you to believe your failures were the final chapter. I want you to understand that growth is still happening. The enemy wanted you to believe that disappointment was proof of abandonment. I want you to understand that I was still guiding you. The enemy wanted you focused on what you lost. I want you focused on what remains possible, because there is still so much possible. There are opportunities you have not yet seen. There are relationships you have not yet experienced. There are blessings you have not yet received. There are lessons you have not yet learned. There are victories you have not yet celebrated. There are prayers that are still moving toward fulfillment. Do not allow temporary circumstances to convince you that the future is limited. Your future is not limited by your past. Your future is not limited by your mistakes. Your future is not limited by other people's opinions. Your future is not limited by fear. Your future is shaped by the choices you make today and by your willingness to trust me with tomorrow. That is why I am asking you to move forward differently. Move forward with faith. Move forward with gratitude. Move forward with courage. Move forward with wisdom. Move forward with trust. Stop waiting until you feel completely ready. Stop waiting until every question is answered. Stop waiting until fear disappears. Take the next step. Trust me with the next step, because the next step often leads to the next opportunity. And the next opportunity often leads to the next breakthrough. Many people spend their lives waiting for certainty, but certainty is not what transforms lives. Faith transforms lives. Trust transforms lives. Obedience transforms lives, and those things are available to you right now. Today, not someday. Not when circumstances improve. Not when life becomes easier now. This moment matters. Today matters. Your choices matter. Your attitude matters. Your faith matters. And the direction you choose today can influence the rest of your journey. Do not underestimate that. You have learned about trust. You have learned about waiting. You have learned about gratitude. You have learned about surrender. You have learned about identity. You have learned about growth. Now it is time to live those truths. Apply them, practice them, walk in them. Because information alone does not create transformation. Application creates transformation. Truth becomes powerful when it is lived. And I believe you are ready. Not because you are perfect, not because you have all the answers, but because your heart is open, because you are willing to grow, because you are willing to trust, because you are willing to move forward. That willingness is powerful. That willingness is where change begins. And that willingness is why your future can become different from your past. As this message comes to an end, I want you to remember one thing above everything else. You are not walking alone. You never were. I was with you in the valley. I was with you in the waiting. I was with you in the struggle. I was with you in the uncertainty. And I will be with you in the breakthrough. I will be with you in the next season. I will be with you in the opportunities ahead. I will be with you through every challenge and every victory. My faithfulness has not changed. My love has not changed. My purpose for your life has not changed. And because of that, you can move forward with confidence. My child, if you are ready to trust God with your future and walk boldly into the purpose He has prepared for you, write these words in the comments. My future belongs to God. Declare it with faith. Declare it with confidence. And if these messages have strengthened your spirit, encouraged your heart, and helped you grow closer to God, remember to like, subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs hope today. Most importantly, carry these truths into your daily life. Apply them, live them, walk in them. Because your story is not ending. In many ways, it is only beginning.